everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Alexis here with this guy who you guys have not seen in a while. This is Hubby. If you're new here, he is an active military member in our family, thus why half of my channel is military stuff, except not really. But anyway, happy December. I hope you guys are having an amazing holiday season. And as such, today I thought we would talk about our family traditions, what my family did growing up, what his family did growing up, and how we melded them together as we got married. When we got married. Anyway.
Over the course of 3 years, a 3-year wedding, yeah.
So, I figured some of these things like we kind of share even though we grew up in 2 different parts of the country. And so I figured we would just kind of go back and forth a little on the ones that we shared. Or that were similar. But to start off the holiday season, my family, growing up in eastern Pennsylvania, we would go to Hershey Park when they reopened for the prelude to Christmas season. They would have Candy Lane where they'd have a bunch of shops open for like gift stores and merchandise and restaurants. Like they'd have hot chocolate, which would be Hershey's hot chocolate. They'd have cookies, they'd have all like the holiday treats. And a few of the rides would be open, mostly the little kid ones, like the bumblebees and the ladybugs, and this sounds like complete and total gibberish if you didn't grow up going to Hershey Park. But only a few of the rides are able to operate still in the cold, and it does get cold up there in the winter. So we did that. They had Santa's reindeer who would be there pretty much all month up until I think a day or two before Christmas Eve, and then they'd have to go back to the North Pole to get ready for the Christmas Eve flight. So we did that a bunch, and then I think it was the year that my parents took me to Disney for the first time, because we went in December because my dad loves Disney at Christmas. We did the holiday sweet lights, which there's a bunch of places all over the country that offer them. It's pretty much, you stay in your car, you ride through it, you tune your radio to a specific station, and the lights dance along to the music that is playing. And that's kind of similar to 2 things that your family would do.
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind is, I grew up in North Oklahoma, a very small town, and there's this small park kind of like tucked in the back behind this little road that they always set up with lights. They called it, I think Fantasyland of lights or Wonderland of lights, one of the things. So you just drive around, tune to the radio station as well, just get in drive and start driving around. It's not very long, it's like maybe a quarter of a mile, if even that. And then at the end you get like a candy cane you can donate to some charity. And also
local charities.
And also something we did, not every year, but we did a whole lot. So we would go to Branson, Missouri to this theme park called Silver Dollar City, and they have, I know they tell us how many lights they have every year, but they have so many lights. There's not a single corner of that place that's not covered in lights. And it's a pretty large amusement park, and there's a lot of different themes. Mostly it's old Western and like, what would you call
Frontier.
That? Frontier style.
If you've been to Six Flags' Frontier City in Oklahoma City, it's the Disney World version of that.
Yeah, it is huge, and so they cover it with lights, and then they have a bunch of one of the main snacks is a funnel cake, and they make it more Christmassy. And then they have a train ride that goes through that normally is like it's like a show. You get in and you get robbed by some people. It's really they just taking money for charity. I think they stopped doing it now, or at least I've
talked about that on my review.
They do it less, yeah. And but then every Christmas it's always the Christmas story.
The nativity story.
The nativity story, yeah. And it's of course the train is covered in lights, and all the attractions on the railroad are covered in lights. It's really, really fun. And then it ends with they have like a 50-60 foot tall Christmas tree that it plays music, and they always play this really intense Carol of the Bells. They didn't last time when we went. I think we just got unlucky and didn't see it, but we're going to go this year, and so hopefully
I will have a complete video dedicated to that with footage and reviews, and yeah, we're really looking forward to doing that with his mom. But so that was something that we kind of shared. I mean, it wasn't exactly the same, but it was pretty similar, all things considered.
A lot of because like your town wasn't terribly small in Pennsylvania, but it's they would call it a small town compared to like Pittsburgh and Philly.
I mean, if you ask Taylor Swift, who is from the same town I'm from, she would say it's a small town, or at least all of her songs say it's a small town.
Every small town has something like that, I think. Not every small town, but most small towns do.
But yeah, so that's something that we did. Okay, so another thing that we did, kind of along with lights and driving, there's this place, I think it's in Lancaster. I'll put a little blurb down here if I'm wrong, because I'm probably wrong. Called Christmas Village, and it's another lights display. If you're from Pennsylvania, you know what I'm talking about. I can almost guarantee you know what I'm talking about, no matter what part of the state you're from. And typically, it's a walkthrough thing. I don't know if that's how they're doing it this year, if that's how they still do it. I know the last time I went, when I was, you know, like this tall off the ground, it was a walkthrough. But what we would normally do is, because you have to look up, and it's like seeing a movie from the front row to look up, because they're like all, it's built up like you're a tiny, like you're the miniature in it, and it's like gingerbread houses and like Santa's toys and all this stuff. But what we would do is we would all get in the van, and we would just drive there, because there's a part as you're cresting the hill that you can see all of the lights just laid out for you in the valley below. So that's something else that we did.
Yeah, and then of course something that we did a lot when she moved to Oklahoma is about 10, 11 miles east or west, I don't know which way, from my hometown. There's this wildlife reserve called Willow Rock, which is it was made by, who was that?
Frank Phillips.
By Frank Phillips. Some people might know who he is. And
founder of the Phillips Petroleum Company.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he made it, and he dedicated a lot of the land to, because Oklahoma is very, very rich in indigenous and Native American history, and so he dedicated a lot of the land and have a lot of things out there that honor that history. And so it's also like a petting zoo, just like for small animals, as well as a wildlife reserve. There's a lot of buffalo and a lot of
there's a huge herd of buffalo, huge. And this specific incident that I'm going to talk about didn't actually happen at Christmas time.
Oh, yeah.
But my parents came up to visit us the first October that we were married, and we took my parents out there because that's something that my dad would be totally into. And they have a museum there, and I'll probably do a separate video about that, about Willow Rock, because it is a tourist place, and I have done some things about that. But there's a museum all about the local indigenous tribes. And
good job.
I reached my move goal, everybody.
Good.
But there's a museum up there that's dedicated to the area. So there's a lot about the local indigenous tribes, their artwork, how they lived. My dad, I'm not even lying, he read every single placard that was in this museum. And there's a bunch, like, because there's a whole room dedicated to Native American art. There's a whole room dedicated to
clothing
and wildlife, like
tools and just irrigation and even weapons.
Yeah, there's a whole exhibit dedicated to guns.
And it's half indigenous, half Frank Phillips himself.
Yeah, because then there's stuff like about the Phillips Oil Company, and I feel like the Wright brothers are in it a little bit, which doesn't make any sense. Like the planes, because there's like this gigantic plane in one of the parts. But it is beautiful. And if they're open and we can get out there while we're up, I mean, obviously not for the Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll make sure to take some footage, and I will do a full review of that place because it is amazing. But anyway, we are on our way out. And like we said, there's a big herd of free-range buffalo. Like, they just roam around like that's their land.
Yeah, there's no fence. Like, there's probably a fence to keep them in the area, but they don't have any restrictions. They can just go wherever. So this giant herd of buffalo was just parked in the middle of the road to get out. Yeah, and they're not going to move them. That's their land. They're not going to push them around, so we have to just wait for them to move.
So we're just chilling there in my parents' minivan, waiting. But that's one of the amazing things. They also have this hayride that you can do where they go around. They put up a bunch of beautiful lights. There's a Native American on horseback, and him and his horse are all decked out with lights. It's beautiful. I mean, honestly, that's one of the... We're going to miss it because I think it's over this coming weekend. I think...
Probably. We've done it plenty of times.
Oh, yeah. But if you're up in the Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri area, and you can get to Bartlesville, Oklahoma for a weekend next November, December, you definitely need to check out, what is it, the Winter Wonderland of Lights or something. It's at Willow Rock. But that's something that, so you didn't do that before we got married?
Oh, we did.
Or got together?
We did. We did it a bunch.
Okay.
Here.
So him being from the Bible Belt, and I grew up in a very religious family up in Pennsylvania, we both spent every Christmas Eve at church, going to the Christmas Eve services. So that's something else that we shared. That was a tradition that we had. I mean, I don't know, because we're going up to be with his family this Christmas. We don't know exactly what they're planning for that, if they're gonna not go because of COVID or whatever. But that is something that we both grew up doing, and I don't remember a Christmas Eve where I wasn't at a service.
Yeah.
With the exception, 2 years ago we didn't go. 2 years ago, with the last time that we were up with your family, we did the. I need to find it and I need to link it down below. If you're Christian, or if you want to know about the nativity story, there's this really funny video on YouTube where they did a parody of Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's all like, it's with puppets, and it's hilarious, and I'll find it, and if I can find it, we'll put a link down below. But yeah, so I mean, I feel like there's, besides that,
I don't know if you had any specific things during the church services, but we had, so obviously I know when I went to her parents' church last year, we had candles. We all lit candles, and that was, I know we did that as well. We kind of I think we stopped doing that after a while. I remember being a kid and doing it, because I always burned my hands because with the hot wax coming down. But I remember doing that when we were kids. But the one thing we always did was every other year they alternated with, our church held every other year they held this thing called Bethlehem in Bartlesville. It's in the parking lot of the church. They set up big walls, big what do you
perimeter walls. Let's call it that.
Plywood, I guess.
Plywood?
Yeah, big plywood walls. Painted them to look like Bethlehem Night Sky, and they had different sections. They had the entrance where you had to. There were kids out handing people like little plastic shillings, and so when you went in, you had to pay to enter, just like a tax collector. And my mom would always weave baskets in one of the sections just as an actor, and so all of my siblings dressed up as little Bethlehem kids and
with British accents.
Yeah, because we were very smart.
We're hungry, mother.
And then there's a market section, and they have people roaming as Roman guards in their full
regalia.
Yeah, and so they would pick out random kids who were acting, and just one market owner would yell thief, point at the kid, and then they would just throw him out of the Bethlehem, and then he'd sneak in back in one of the hidden entrances. And then there was a section just for shepherds and sheep. And then when you walk into the area where Jesus would have been, there's this building right next to it that had 3 angels, usually teenagers and young teenagers, older kids. And I did that a couple times. I was one of the angels up there. Yeah. And then every other year they would have this thing called the singing Christmas tree. It was like a 70-foot tall tree. There was it was layered, so you could have choir members on parts of the tree, and they would sing that way. It was really tall. I was never on that, thankfully, but
your dad was, I think, last year or the year before.
He was on the tree?
Yeah, him, your stepmom, and one of your sisters.
I didn't realize he was on the tree.
Yeah. So, and I'm just laughing because they're British.
Our British accents. My mom was like, "You're not British,
kid.
Shut
up.
You don't speak English. You don't speak. You're not British. Just don't say anything."
Yeah, we didn't have anything cool like that. I know that when I was younger, at our Christmas Eve service, we would have at the church that I grew up in, we would have the candlelight portion with Silent Night. And then it wasn't until I was 13 or 14 and I could actually hold a candle without burning myself that we thought, hey, you know what we should get for the kids? Glow sticks.
Glow sticks.
Yeah. But that was something that we always did growing up. We went to Christmas Eve service. And that kind of brings me into my next point, which is a 2-pointer thing.
Yeah, one more.
We can lump my 2 together. But something my family did was all of the kids only got 3 gifts from mom and dad. And that was mostly so that they weren't spending a crap ton of money at Christmas. Also because baby Jesus only got 3 gifts. So it was a way to kind of just really instill, be thankful for what you have, but also to teach us a Bible lesson, I guess, as well. It was the way we did it, and I honestly love that. But every year before we left for the Christmas Eve service, we got to open 1 present. And typically, I would try to go for a stocking stuffer, so that way I still had my 3 to open Christmas morning. Or like, I know one year the present that I opened was my gift from one of my best friends. It was just, I got to open a present.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just something that we did. I mean, it was stuff that we wanted, and then like if we got like a big, like if something like that we wanted was a lot, we got either like 1 smaller thing or 2 smaller things. But yeah.
See, we never did that. We typically had one large gift from Santa, well, but large as in one
family gift.
Well, we each got a gift from Santa that was like the main gift, like what you really wanted. So for most years it was like a video game or a toy that we really liked, and then you got like stocking stuffers that were kind of random. You didn't get to choose. For a while, my dad would he got a box of like a ton of like Japanese candy and snacks, a lot of foreign stuff. So he would put those in our stockings. That was really cool. And then then our parents would get us a large gift for all of us. And so I remember one year it was Guitar Hero, and I can't remember another year, but that year was really awesome. We were all pretty excited for Guitar Hero, and we played that until it died. Yeah, my family, I mean, that was pretty much how a lot of the gifts for my sister and brother-in-law, because they're so much older than me, went. So like, I think that first Christmas that I was back with them, we got a Wii. I think Mom and Dad got the Wii though. I don't think Krista. Yeah, I think our Guitar Hero was for PlayStation 2, because we already had a PlayStation 2. But yeah, so we got, like, one year I got a Wii. We all got it was like it was the family gift. And then the next year, I want to say the next year we got Rock Band. We still have that. We do, and it's disgusting. I still use it. No, it's disgusting because my nieces, I love them, but when they were little, they'd take their sippy cups and go like this all over my drum kit. Of course they would. And then the next year, I think we got like Wii Resort. So like that, like, but it was. And we got Wii Fit one year. Was it? That was. I think that was for Christmas. I don't think that was for my birthday. Yeah. My sister made sure to say that the Wii Fit was specifically for me. Would you like to? Of course she would. Of course she would. Of course she would. But yeah, so like we did stuff like that too. Okay. Or like the year that we went to Disney was one of my gifts. Oh yeah. Which, I mean, that was my Sweet 16 and my Christmas gift that year, and I was 100% okay with that. Because it's Disney, come on. All right, and then my last thing we always did was, as most people know, a lot of stores are closed on Christmas, and so of course we came from a town of like 30,000. We really haven't grown at all. Like it's grown, but a lot of people leave. Probably as many people leave as new people are born into the town or people move in. So Walmart's the most popular grocery store we have in the town, so a lot of people go to Walmart. But of course, Christmas Eve, there are no cars in the parking lot. So there's either people doing donuts in the parking lot, and then one thing that happened after a few years was my dad, he owned a movie theater for a bit, and we would always go in and like host a late night Christmas Eve showing every once in a while, or only my family would work. So all the other employees can go have the day off for Christmas or for certain days before Christmas, and we would just do donuts in that parking lot as well, because I guess the landlord of that center didn't like to ice or scrape up the ice. De-ice. Yeah, so we would do that, and then of course we'd go get Chinese food, because our favorite Chinese food restaurant was right next to the movie theater. And of course they're open on Christmas Eve, and so my favorite Chinese restaurant. We would always get that. Yeah. So that's the last of our Christmas. I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, things that we do together. I mean, since we got married, we have to watch Polar Express. Mm-hmm. Typically on Christmas Eve. We have to watch A Muppet's Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve. And then A Charlie Brown Christmas
no matter who we're with, whether we're celebrating just us, we're celebrating with my parents, or we're celebrating with his family. Those are some musts. Yeah, so those are all of our Christmas traditions. Let me know what some of yours are in the comments below. Like I said, I will make sure to link that nativity video if you guys would be interested in that. I think it's hilarious if I can find it. But yeah, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Make sure you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and make sure those bell notifications are turned on so you get notified anytime I upload new content. I hope you guys are having a fantastic holiday season. You're being good to yourselves, you're being good to each other, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.